Okay, so what is S3 bucket? S3, okay, simple storage service. Okay, not secure, but you can also call it as a simple storage service. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? So first of all, EBS volume. The EBS volume, okay, and EFS volume and S3. So these three are the one of the major storage options available in AWS. Okay, if we go for interview tomorrow, they may ask you, okay, can you tell me some of the storage options available in AWS. Okay, so the first one you'll be telling is that EBS volume. Okay, we have already seen this one, EBS volume and EFS volume, and then S3. Okay, so all the difference between EBS volume, so what is the difference between EBS and EFS? Anybody? So the first difference is that so it is both the things are a block device. So EBS is a block level storage, and EFS is the file level storage, and S3 is the object level storage. Okay, so these three are the difference. What is block level storage? This is just like equal to some raw hard disk. Okay, so for example, you have some kind of external hard disk. Okay, if you're connecting to your any kind of systems, okay, so it will ask you to format it initially for the first time, right? It doesn't know that, so if you're connecting to Linux or something like that, you have to format it, so based on whatever this thing. So recent days everything will comes under format only, so you don't need to worry about it. But most of the times what will happen is that it will ask you to format, to Windows file system or Linux file system. Okay, so what is format? Format is the concept of applying some kind of a small OS. Okay, adding some kind of a layer on top of your application OS, then only it will work. So that is the reason why block level storage, whenever you are having a block level storage, it can only attach to EC2 instances, right? So it can only attach to EC2 instances. And even though if you attach to EC2 instances, right, you need to create a file system for this one. You need to install file system for this one. What is install file system? You remember mkfs.ext4 command? So yeah, that is so maybe you forget it, maybe. So whenever you are creating a file system, whenever you are working on some kind of file system, so you have to be working on some kind of a EBS volume block level storage. You need to install some kind of file system, then only you can work. Even though you attach to instance also, you cannot use it directly. Okay, it has to be create some kind of file system. It can be Linux file system or Windows file system. Depends on the OS. You have to do this. What about this one? EFS. So you are mounting it, right? So you can also mount it. So here, it is already been formatted with NFS. Okay, so it's already been formatted with the NFS. What is NFS? You know about NFS? No, right? We already seen the EFS volumes, right? So that's called NFS. NFS is like they take a basic volume, something like this one. They install some kind of a file system on top of that. Okay, so when you're connecting to EC2 instances, you don't need to create a file system again. Okay, that is kind of a file level storage. Okay, the difference. Now, okay, so going forward you'll understand. Okay, so this S3 bucket is kind of a object level storage, right? Object level storage. What happens is that everything is formatted, everything is available for the public. It's just like a Google Drive. Just like a Google Drive. So everything is they done everything. They attach to the internet and they create a domain. Everything they have done it. You can just only access the files as objects. Okay, so whenever creating object level storage, then you will understand, what is object level storage. For example, so it is object level storage. You don't need to format or anything. It's just like a Google Drive. Google Drive, right? Google Drive, what we can do? We can store some files, right? Same exact concept is what is a S3 bucket also. Okay, S3 bucket. You go to here. Okay, so you click on S3. Okay, so or you type S3 over here. Everybody, can you type S3? S3. Where is your?
I told us my dad's laptop. I use it again, so that's why I'm not.
Sometimes it's happening like that, but for me it's working fine. Okay, so we are going to see about create bucket. Okay, click on create bucket. So when you click on create bucket, it's going to be creating a bucket. It's kind of a storage device, right? It's kind of a. I'm going to create a Google Drive volume. Okay, so where you can upload the files. So first of all, without having any kind of options, I'm going to create one bucket. I'm going to show you how it's working. Okay, so then I'll come back and show it to you what's happening. Okay, now I'm giving some name, cloud bucket 123, and ACL. I just enabled ACL. I will come back and say all these things. So and bucket public access enable, and I acknowledge bucket versioning is disabled, and the tag and decryption and everything is there. I'm just going to be object lock is disabled, and then create bucket. Okay, so same name already exists. Is telling, so I'm giving some of the names like this one. Okay, some, because it globally it will check, what all the things are there, how many buckets are there globally will check. Okay, so now I have created this bucket. This is called as a bucket. This is just like a, just imagine it's just like a Google Drive. Okay, so I'm going inside. In Google Drive, what we can do? Upload files. Similarly, I'm uploading a file. So add files, and I'm going to documents, and I'm just going to upload some kind of HTML file, index.html file. You know that you know HTML files, right? You have done in EC2 instances, all these things you have done. Okay, so I'm going to have an index.html file. Okay, so index.html file, and permission I'm going to choose, grant public read access. Okay, and properties I'm going to upload it. Okay, it is done. Okay, now I have one bucket. The bucket is kind of a folder, right? The Google Drive, and I'm inside. I've just added one kind of a files. Okay, so that files, if you can click on this file, it'll give you an URL directly. Okay, if you click on this file, say it's opening the resume. Okay, you remember this resumes when I was showing to you, in the first day, few days back, maybe I didn't show you or something like that. So what happening is that instead of, okay, if you want to do, you have one HTML file with the Google content, the website content. Okay, so if you want to host it, what you have to do? Huh? If you don't have S3 bucket, EC2 instance, right? EC2 instance, what we can do, what you have to do?
Public address have to copy and
Huh?
paste. Public address have to copy and paste everything.
Before that, just that if you public address
Connected.
connect it, no?
Dash to Linux and then upload your HTML file.
What you have to install first?
HTTP.
HTTPD you have to install, right? First of all, you have to go install HTTPD, then start HTTPD, enable HTTPD, then you just upload your files, then only copy that, then only it will work. Okay, but now what's happening here? I'm just opening this HTML file. It's just opening like this. Okay, this is kind of a just HTML file, and if you can see this one, if you see the documents, and hire this HTML file, content, if you can see, open with text editor. This is just a normal HTML file. Okay, so I mean, like, it's opening with it's just opening the content actually. Open with the notes. No. couldn't open it. Maybe I can just open it from here. Open it from, terminal, right? You know this one, this interface. Um, huh? No, this one is like VS Code. Okay, documents index.html file. You can see this index.html file. It is the one photo will be there, and it's like a cloud institution file will be there. Okay, this is what called as a this is a HTML file. I'm just hosting this HTML file. This is what called as a static web hosting. Yesterday we were discussing about the Google, right? Google will put all their just the HTML file front page only to all the edge locations. Yes, so they have this kind of HTML file. They will put it in all these locations, so that this is the origin for the CloudFront. Yesterday we discussed, right? This is the origin for the CloudFront. Using this origin, the CloudFront will take this data in this HTML file and upload it to everywhere. Okay, now you understand. Okay, now I'm going to explain it to you. What's been happening here, right? So now I'm going to delete this file. I'm going to delete this file. Okay, I'm going to do permanently delete. Okay, I deleted this HTML file, and I am going to delete. I'm going to delete this bucket also. Okay, the bucket name is this one. This bucket. So now you understand, what is the purpose of this bucket. Right? Let's go and create a new bucket with all the options available. Okay, we will see what is the options there. Okay, now, so general purpose and directory new. So we are going to do a general purpose, and then it's going to be creating in a EC2 region. Okay, and the bucket name is going to be globally unique. If somebody else has created the same bucket, it's not going to work. Okay, now what we are going to do is that, so what's your name?
Musavi.
M-O?
M-U-S-A-V-E-R.
Okay, so the cloud bucket 1, 2, 3, something like that, so some kind of unique name I'm just going to give. Now ACL is disabled, means ACL is enabled, means like, so object that can be owned by the AWS account and access to this bucket to the object can be specified using ACL. So the access control lists. Okay, all the objects in the buckets are owned by this account. The access to the bucket is owned by specific using the only policies. So what is mean is that if you enable this one, you need to define all the policies. You have to write some policies, then only it can work. Now what I'm doing is that using ACL, default policies itself, it should work. Okay, so these are all kind of a very advanced things, but it's kind of options. Just ACL, you can just remember like access control lists. Okay, so the bucket owner preferred. So who is going to be the owner for this bucket? Okay, so object writer or bucket owner. So the object writer remains the object owner. Okay, so it has multiple differences. So it has to be owned by ACL and all these things. But most of the times, we are going to be as a bucket owner only. So we are going to make the owner who's going to be the owner for the bucket. It's going to be bucket owner only. Here is the public access settings for this one. Okay, so now I'm going to block all the public access. If I block all the public access, if you upload some files, it won't be visible in the browser. Okay, now I'm going to block. Before that I enabled all these things, but I'm going to block it. Next, bucket versioning. What is bucket versioning? Bucket versioning is a very, very good option. It's a very, very good concept. So what is bucket versioning is that, for example, you have one HTML file here. Okay, so now I have this HTML file. It's called the cloud institution. Cloud institution is there. Now I uploaded this file. Okay, now I'm just changing some kind of cloud institution to cloud institution 1. Some modification. So if you enable the bucket versioning, what is going to happen is that it considered that initial version as a version 1. Okay, now I uploaded the same file, updated the same file, I'm uploading again. In the Google Drive, if you upload the same file again, what will happen? Huh? It can rename it, right? It can rename it. It can rename it to _1 or something like that. So here, if you upload the same file 2 times, it can. If it will replace the file. But if you have a version enabled, it's going to create another version. It's going to create another version with the version 2, v2, and then only the delta. Here the entire content is there. Here also entire content is there, but only the additional thing, cloud institution 1, it will be available here. But here only cloud institution will be available, right? But what happened? I'm just making cloud institution 2. Let's create a new version of it. Okay. So what is the advantage of this one, and what is the disadvantage? Can somebody tell me what is the advantage?
Takes more space, sir.
It takes more space, right? It's a really a good answer. It's kind of it takes more space. That's the disadvantage of it. So what's the advantage?
We can track our past records.
We can track our past record. So even though if you lose your the current data, and then still you have a previous versions. For example, you made some kind of a major mistakes in your HTML file. So this is what is called as the Google.com, right? The Google.com is making some small mistakes. Okay, so my system is down. Instead of going the existing code and then so fixing that errors in the existing code, so what I can do is I can delete this one, and I can go back to the older version whichever is already working. So for me, my production should be there. I can fix it later. Okay, so for example, so some work is going on, some bathroom work is going on. For example, just that bathroom work is going on, I should not be asking anybody to come to office, right? That work will be going on later, we can fix that later. But I want that company to be running, right, for the small. That's the reason, so if you make any kind of major mistakes or any kind of maintenance on the current version, and you have to go back to the previous version, and then you have to run that application all the time. So that's called versioning. Okay, so this kind of versioning is very, very important. When you're going for the Terraform, so you'll be having a Terraform concepts, right? So when you go for Terraform, then these kind of a concepts are very important. TF states and all these things will be learning. Okay. Now, any questions on versionings? Okay, the versioning disable, I'm just mentioning. As he said, if you enable it, it's going to cost you more. Okay, so the bucket is also for each and every objects they will cost you. How long you are keeping, for each and every object is kind of a storage, right? They'll be charging you per hour. Okay, so encryption. So what is the encryption? Encryption is that so you can create you can encrypt all the files, inside the bucket. Okay, using some kind of an encryption methodology. That's called as KMS. We used to call it. So you can create some kind of a KMS key. And then, okay, I'm going to create one KMS key. So KMS key is something like a key management services we used to call. So if you can see, okay, the symmetric and asymmetric keys will be there. Symmetric will be a single key used to encrypt and decrypt. Here is there'll be two keys. In just a real time, I have only one key for my house. Okay. Even though if my mom has to go to home also, she has to have the same key only. Okay, but the asymmetric key will be like private and public key. I have one key, my mom have some different key, but both the keys will work. Something like a fingerprint, right? Something like a fingerprint. So how many ever the key? Maybe the 2 to 3 kind of a service. This thing will work, but it's a kind of a little bit advanced things. Using public and private key, all this kind of things will come. Okay. So if you're interested, go and debug on this one. Okay. So key usage, encrypt and decrypt. So we are going to encrypt RSA 2.1. Okay, advanced options, and KMS recommended single region and multi-region. I'm going to use it for a single region, or if you can also use for multi-region. So I'm going to create a next. Sorry.
What is this that RSA?
Yeah. So this one RSA is a version of the algorithm. Reverse search algorithm. So RSA is a algorithm for the encryption. So you haven't never heard of RSA algorithm?
Yes, that's it.
It is you study in book, right? RSA algorithm is like RSA algorithm. So RSA algorithm is a so RSA public key cryptography. So it's kind of a cryptography algorithm. Okay, what is RSA algorithm? RSA is a cryptographic algorithm that was the first introduced in 1977, public version, private key encryption for data. Okay, so there's different versions are there for this one. Okay, so it doesn't matter, whichever the version. If you're going for advanced kind of like a real-time production environment, and if you really wanted to use some kind of a very, very latest version, you can use this latest version, something like this. So for now, you're just doing testing things, and then you don't need to be worrying about this. It's kind of algorithms. Okay, yeah, good question, good observation. Good that you're not sleeping. Listening carefully. Okay, so display name for the key. My key name will be, test S3 bucket key, something like that, so whatever the key name you want to give, S3 bucket KMS key. Okay, so key administration, so who can access this particular key, so the bucket, that owner of this key will be able to access it. Otherwise, if you're creating IAM users, right, IAM users. Okay, if you're logging into IAM users, you can also, you have to specify, for example, Vasant is there, is the IAM user, for example. Okay, so if I don't click this one, if I click this one, only this guy will be able to access all the data inside the bucket. Just like granting an access for the Google Drive. Google Drive, we are going to give an email ID and then granting permission. So same thing here. Okay, so for this one, we are mentioning that this is kind of security, right? So for which user we wanted to grant a permission. Okay, the next, there are a lot of roles and everything will be there. Okay, you cannot change it, and I'm going to, this is a role, it's a kind of a basic role I'm going to be creating. So this kind of a KMS key is created. Now, if you can click on this one, choose from the existing key. What is the key we have created? Test key something, right?
Test3 key.
I think it's not been loaded. Okay, maybe we can just refresh it. Maybe it'll take some time. Okay, I'm just choosing some other key. Okay, so it takes some time. Okay, test3 key is not created yet. Why it's not been created? Maybe it'll take some time, to create it. So okay, or what we can also do this one, we can just create, we can give the ARN of this one. Okay, so copy this one and then paste it over here. This also we can do. It will take the key whatever it's already been there. Okay, the create bucket. Now I'm using my own keys, right? The key ARN is the kind of identifier. Azure Resource Manager. It's kind of ARN identifier. So for example, what is your name? If I can tell you, you would tell your name, right? Similarly, each and every bucket, each and every object have a ARN. In AWS, using that one only we will be calling that. Okay, if you have S3 bucket, multiple S3 bucket also, every S3 bucket will have a different unique name. That's kind of ARN. Okay, so now we have a, okay, so this one we created, right? Now we're going to upload. Okay, let's upload the same file, index.html, and upload. Okay, so view details. What is that? Upload failure. Because the KMS and everything we have enabled, it's not allowing me a access. I don't know. So what is the KMS key? This happened with that one. Permissions I'm giving, grant public access. Failed. Why? Configurations. Maybe it's taking some time or something. Should not, right? It's not also not giving any kind of errors. Why this one is failing? I don't know. So what's going on? I think something problem. Maybe some problem with the KMS key or something like that. So let's create a new bucket again with the same thing. So now some kind of a random bucket name. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing, and I'm going to block this public access. Now I'm just bucket versioning is disabled. I'm not going any key. So I'm just using the default keys only. So let's see if this one is working. Okay, so now this one is created. Now I'm uploading file. I'll just see why that previous bucket is not being not able to upload. Okay, let's upload some files. Yeah, this is uploaded, right? But I don't know, some kind of problem with the KMS keys, right? It's not been able to it's not allowing you to upload. So that's the reason why always you are go with the default options available, okay, for this. So now if you can see this one, so you won't be able to. Now if you can click on this file, it will tell me that access is denied. Why?
because you have only given private access.
Yeah, so the for the for the bucket, no, I didn't enable the bucket permission. This bucket is called as a private bucket.
Sir, but you selected that option grant public access.
No, that is disable grant public access. If it is selected, it will block all the public access. I mean, if it is enabled, okay. So let's see once again. Okay, so when you're creating a bucket, when you're creating a bucket, so here block all public access is enabled. Is going to block all the public accesses, for your bucket. So now let's go and create another bucket with the we already recreated, right? So uh, public public bucket 1 2 3 4 5 6 some kind of random names. So it's a public bucket. So now I'm going to enable all the things and acknowledge it. Okay, so bucket versioning is disabled. Okay, and create bucket. Okay, and then public bucket. I think did we enable that ACL? ACL was disabled, right? I don't know. I forgot that how. Sometimes ACL also will give some kind of a the upload failure, something like this. So now it's a public bucket, but here also I'm just granting. See, use the bucket policies. So this is what it is, right? So in the bucket permission, it's not allowing me to grant public access to the AWS account. So the bucket has bucket owner enforced setting apply for this. It's called ACL. If you enable the ACL, right, when you're creating bucket, still you won't be able to allow this objects for the public. You can allow this. You can upload this object, but still you won't be able to. So if you access this object URL, then you won't be. It's be denied. Okay, now let's go back to the first bucket, whatever we have created. you know so in this bucket, public bucket, I think one this bucket, what is the bucket name? So this one, right?
Yes.
Test cloud institution. This is what we created. No, this is we created this one. This one is what created, right? If you go click on this one and it open the, sorry, which one it was working? This one maybe. Okay, this is the public bucket. If why it's not working? Which one was public? Okay, let me just go and grant a public access. Block public access. So this is blocking all public access. So I'm going to enable the public access, right? We can also enable like this. Okay, now I'm enabling bucket access. I'm just now this bucket permission is enabled. Okay, now I'm going to object inside this one. Let me just try to access it. Now still is denied. Now I'm going to the permission for this one also. I'm going to edit permission and I'm going to read publicly. Everybody should be able to read. Okay, understand this one and save changes. Now if you can go and use this one, it should work. Okay, so if you disable the public access, nobody should be able to access. Okay, so not only this one, right? We can also enable. You can also upload a lot of files like this. You can also enable a lot of files inside that. Okay, so this is kind of a HTML file. I'm going inside this one. You can also upload some kind of a files. Add files. Okay, add files. I'm going to add some kind of images. Maybe any images are there. AWS. Okay, I'm going to call it seminars maybe. Um, okay, I'm going to use this, upload this image. Okay, my photo.jpg. I'm going to add the public access again for this one. So grant the public access. I understand this one. Now even this one also should be able to see. This is my photo, right? Like, so we can upload some of the photos where, so this is kind of a really nice option, where you can, if you have a resume, right, so instead you're searching for a job, right, so what you can do is you can just create HTML file with the resume format, so and you can upload that resume format inside the S3 bucket. Okay, you can just send that S3 bucket URL to your interviewer, saying that I did a mini project. This mini project is having a HTML, CSS, and all these things. You can just put everything. You can create a mini project out of it. You can have this resume format in your this thing. So it's kind of really good one. Can you do this? Okay, please create some kind of resume formats, for you. It's going to be really helpful for you. Okay, now. Okay, now I want to talk about something about that types. Okay, so for example, I have this bucket, right? I am having this bucket, and I'm going to upload this bucket. I'm going to add files. Okay, for example, I'm just uploading the same file maybe. Now, if you can go to permissions, if you go to properties, okay, if you see the properties, there is a different types are there. The standard and glacier and all this deep archival thing. So these are very important concepts in S3 bucket. Is that going over that archival storage? For example, you have some of the you have movies. Okay, so you have movies of 100 GB. Okay, so it is just occupy your space, much space in your laptop. Okay, so what you can do, you can delete it, but you wanted to have that in your system itself. So what is the difference way we can reduce the size of it and then keep it in the same machine?
We have to compress the quality.
Huh?
Quality of.
We can compress it, right? We can create a zip file so that that size will be reduced. So any files we can zip it and zip archival it. Its size will be reduced. Okay. So here also the same concepts apply. So if I wanted to upload my files, that files it's not very useful for me. I just wanted to keep it as a backup. So this is kind of an example concept of a customer data for banking purpose. In bank, what we will do, even though if you go for after 5 years also, they will keep your record. But he will tell you that, okay, sir, give your request and you come tomorrow, we will take your record and keep it ready. Okay, but if you're a current customer, if you're going today, they will log in. Okay, what's your name? Oh, okay, fine. Okay, please sit. Did you notice? So if some of the accounts, they will make it as a dormant account. If you don't use some of the accounts, it can go as a dormant. Then you have to write a request and make it as to the live one. Then only you can use that account. Same kind of a dormant and the same kind of a things is also called here is a glacier. So what is glacier? If you upload some files with a glacier retrieval, okay, so I'm going to upload the same file with the glacier. Maybe not this file. Okay, add files. I'm going to add another file. Maybe some of the okay, some kind of PPT. Okay, so I'm just keeping it over here. These two things I'm uploading as an object, but it is going to be in a deep archive. In a glacier, okay, it's a deep archive. So the glacier. So if you decided that you are not going to access this kind of data more than 180 days or 90 days or 90 days, and you can just archival it. So what is this S3 bucket will do is it will compress your files. Okay, it will keep it in a longer distance, some kind of a local low storage device. So what is the higher storage, highly accessible storage device, and then what is lower accessible storage device? There is some kind of a concept you need to understand. If you can go to YouTube, So you observed, some of the videos, right? Some of the videos will be already displayed, whenever you go to YouTube, so favorites or something like that. Have you observed some of the videos, whenever you click, it will immediately will open. Okay, but if you type something, some of the older videos, if you take some kind of very old movie, if you can open it sometimes, right? It will take some time to load. Why?
Because many people wouldn't have access to it, so
Yeah,
it works like a stack or something.
yeah. So it won't keep it as in a real, higher storage. It won't keep this in a higher storage. Anything, for example, if you're, I don't know, if you access your email ID, after 1 year, have you tried? After 1 year, you try to access your email ID. They'll ask you to verify it something. Okay, can you please verify? They'll give you one kind of a toy and all. Okay, check if you're human. You know, so okay, then they will do a mobile verification. So we have sent a verification code to your mobile. Please do this one. Why are they trying to do all these things?
For authentic.
You already have your password, but still you didn't access few days. Why they still doing this? That they thought that you died. Okay, so they thought that you died, or you forgot your password. You're not going to come back. So we are going to no, we are not going to delete this account, but we will keep this as some kind of archival storage. All your data, everything. So when the moment when you just give your right password, okay. So what they are trying to do is that they will try to get the data from the longest storage and then try to extract it, they try to restore it so that you can try to access it. Okay, you just seen, many places, if you are forgetting some kind of password, it asks so many things. Some mobile code, some kind of photos, whether you're human or not. So all these things concept will come in the glacier only. So why we are doing this one? They have to save their own cost. Just that you created some kind of account, they are not going to keep it in a live one. Okay, so I'm going to create this, upload this buckets. Okay, I'm going to upload this bucket. Um, uh, I'm going to upload these two files. So whenever I'm accessing these files. Okay, see, it's uploading. It's just taking a lot of time. Previously, it was taking very fraction of times, right? So now it's taking a lot of time to upload. Why? It is uploading in a glacier. Okay, so the glacier is called as a. Okay, so now if you click on this HTML file, it's kind of glacier one. So click on this HTML file. Now we can see this object is stored in a glacier deep archival storage. In order to access it, you must first restore it. Now what happened? What they have to do, just like a Google and everybody, bankers, first they have to. So what? It's just like this files, right? They've tied it and then throw it to some kind of a godown. Now whenever if you want to do this one, it has to take it and then share it to keep it in the table. Then only you can open it. Okay. So now if you want to do this one, okay. So initial restore. Okay, number of days that restore copy is available. Okay, 1 day. I'm giving 1 day. Okay, bucket retrieval specific object. Okay, initial restore. Okay, so this information is no longer available for this. So now this is how we can restore this bucket. So it will take 1 hour of time to restore it. After 1 hour of time, if you can refresh it, it will tell you that okay. So now we have got this one. Okay, this is called. So today, what are the topics we have seen? We have seen S3 bucket and ACLs. Okay, public and private buckets, and then KMS, key management systems. How to attach it, and the glaciers. All these things will include in the S3 bucket concept. Okay, any questions? Please create a bucket. Please upload your files, and please do some lot of upload a lot of files, photos, and everything. Try to access in the public. Okay. So we'll see one more time. So with the CloudFront thing. So if you are able to CloudFront, how to access it. So now this is my region. This is my origin. Okay. So if I can, yesterday we uploaded the S3 bucket, right? So if I say that I have my HTML file as an origin. Now CloudFront, what it will do? It will take this file and will upload it into edge locations. That is how the entire ecosystem should work. Understand? Okay, see you tomorrow, and I'll send you this